morning. Please rise and join me in saying the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Due to the Olweus bell schedule, today, Tuesday, May 17th, the afternoon Ormsby, Potter, and Harkness buses will leave OPHS at 12 o'clock p.m. At all other BOCES buses will follow the regular schedule. Attention all girls basketball players. The Orchard Park Lady Quakers basketball camp will be held from July 11th to July 14th at the high school from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sign-up forms are located in room 127. Please stop by and grab one from Coach Janas. Hope to see you all there.
Attention any female interested in trying out for the Girls Varsity Golf Team next fall. There will be an informational and organizational meeting on Thursday, May 26th in room 154. Minimal experience necessary. See Mr. Biondo if you have any questions. Attention Buddy Club members. This Thursday, May 19th, is our last session. We'll be having a pizza party, so please make every effort to attend.
International Club and Spanish National Honor Society are sponsoring Quesadilla Fest on Wednesday, May 18th at 2 o'clock in room 329. All are welcome. We hope to see you there. Congratulations to the Boys Varsity Golf Team who captured the Section 6 championship title at Diamond Hawk Golf Course on Monday. This is the second section championship title for the boys golf program in the last 5 years. Congratulations to our seniors Connor Balin, Tyler Menz, Tyler Kelly, and Michael Robertson. Thank you for leading our championship team and for all of your hard work.
Attention all OP Educational Outreach members. We have an important meeting tomorrow, May 18th, after school in room 160. Please see our Google Classroom for further information on this meeting. This is news for Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. Today's cycle is 1.
Also, post-prom.
Yeah, I'm so excited. They got dodgeball.
They got
giant twister and Jenga.
Bungee run inflatable. That
hair tinsel.
Fun. Yep, yeah.
Henna. Oh my God. I'm gonna get that.
Sounds fun. But also, don't.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yes. We're coming back to a special announcement from the auditorium.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Have a great day, Orchard Park.
Bye.
Room up here, Drew. Guys, just fill in. Don't worry about where you're sitting or who you're sitting with. Grossman, is that your application? Plenty of seats out front. I think that's it, right? We're good?
morning, everybody. We're going to get started because we don't have a ton of time. So welcome to OPHS for May. Today we're very fortunate to have representatives from Kids Escaping Drugs in the Renaissance campus with us to talk about one person's experience with addiction. And statistically speaking, addiction is likely to touch all of us in some way, shape, or form in our lives. And it's important to understand how personal these stories can be and the journey that people go through. So your patience and attention in this sensitive subject is very appreciated. And also know that the house offices are here for you if you have any concerns about yourself or somebody else in your life that if you want to touch base with. I'm not going to go on too long because we don't have a ton of time and I want to give our speaker a lot of time. And I'm going to say too, if you have questions, usually we would host them here, but since again we're short on time, our speaker has offered to stay after. Feel free to stay a couple minutes later if you have any questions that you would like to personally ask the speaker or you have any questions about the program. I will stay here as well. And we're going to get started with Ashley from the Renaissance campus.
Can everybody hear me in the back? All right. So my name is Ashley. I'm a program counselor with the face-to-face program over at Kids Escaping Drugs. And basically my job is community outreach and education. We share a campus with Renaissance Addiction Services at Best Self. On campus we have 2 rehabilitation facilities. We are the only treatment facility in the area that offers treatment for substance use disorders to adolescents and teenagers. We take kids as young as 12 on our campus, and we go up to the age of 26 in our reintegration houses. You guys would know them better as halfway houses. But we have 2 of those on campus, one for the gentlemen, one for the ladies. So basically, the whole point of doing presentations like this is with the hope that you never end up needing a campus like ours. I don't want to take up too much time. So Alex is here to share his journey with addiction and his sobriety, and I'm going to give him the opportunity to speak and use the rest of the time.
Okay. Hello. How are we today? Everybody doing good? Doing well? All right, perfect. That's what we like to hear. So, as I said, my name is Alex. For me, I always like to start these things out. I'll tell you my story, I'll tell you my background. But what I've been doing for the last 6 years, I've been going around the Western New York community, really just sharing my story, just to kind of help whoever I can, to talk about mental health and addiction. 2 things that affected my life greatly from literally the beginning, from when I was 5, 6 years old. These things, they truly don't discriminate. They can affect each and every person. So the 2 main points that I try to get across when I speak, and you'll hear me talk about it, is number 1, what I just said. Addiction, mental health, does not discriminate, does not care who you are, doesn't care that I was from Grand Island, doesn't care that you guys are from Orchard Park. It can affect each and every person the same way. The second thing, which is probably the biggest thing that I preach constantly, is you guys have to be the number 1 person in your lives. You have to put yourselves first. You'll hear my story. You'll understand more why from my point of view. But we're taught from a very young age to put everybody else first. Put brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, dad, friend, teammate, whatever it is. We're always taught to put others first. But I'm telling you, you have to be the number 1 person. You have to do what you want to do, what's going to make you happy at the end of the day. So, my name, Alex Newts. I'm from Grand Island, New York. My claim to fame, if that's what you want to call it, I was a star high school football player, played football, all that fun stuff. I ended up earning a Division I scholarship to the University of Buffalo. I went there, broke a bunch of records, ended up getting a chance at the NFL. I was with the Cincinnati Bengals for a very brief time period. But I'm not here to talk about football. I'm not here to talk about if you try your best and give your best effort, you can make it too. Everybody's heard that story that's been played out, right? My story is a little bit different. So I always like to ask students, especially high schoolers, have you experimented with alcohol? Have you experimented with drugs? Have you experimented with weed? Whatever it is. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to raise your hand, but just think about it. And just think of, why was it appealing to you? Why was it something that you wanted to do? Why was it something that drew your attention? If you've done it multiple times, what made you go back to it? All right, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Don't worry about it. I'll come back to it though. But for me, my story started at a very young age. Like I said, I started struggling with anxiety and depression at like 5, 6 years old. I didn't know it at the time, but just to go to like t-ball practice or house soccer games, I mean, I was a wreck. Like, I would throw tantrums, I would cry. Like, I was so nervous as a 6-year-old of letting my parents down, letting my friends down, embarrassing myself. There was times where I would literally just pee my pants. There was times where I would, like I said, just shut down mentally. And I'm telling you, at 6 years old, I was going through this. And at 6 years old, I can't just go grab my mom and be like, oh, I'm struggling with anxiety. Like, as a 6-year-old, you don't know what anxiety is. You don't know what depression is, but something wasn't right. And it never really got better. You know, from 6 to 12 years old, I was very socially awkward. I was very socially anxious. I did not have a lot of friends. I was the definition of an introvert. I would just stay in my room, play Legos, play computer games. It was very hard for me to make friends. When I was 12, I was supposed to try out for the modified basketball team. You know, it was a big deal at 12 years old, I guess. It was the first year I could try out. You know, my parents were excited, my friends were excited, the coaches were excited. But as the tryout got closer, my anxiety got more and more and more. And I started telling myself, you're gonna fail, you're gonna embarrass yourself, you're not gonna make it, you're gonna let yourself down, you're gonna let your parents down, you're gonna let your friends down, you're gonna look dumb. That anxiety took over, it crippled me, so I just didn't go. I called my mom, I said, I don't feel good, I'm just gonna try next year. And that saying right there is, I'll just try next year, is very important. Because the number one thing that people with mental health and addiction issues do is we procrastinate, right? Everybody knows what procrastination is. Everybody's procrastinated on schoolwork, projects, homework. When it comes to mental health though, when it comes to anxiety and depression, we'll just sit there and we'll tell ourselves day after day that it'll get better tomorrow. I'll figure it out tomorrow. It's got to get better eventually. You know, I can't feel this way forever. But the truth is if you don't actually take the steps to make it better or talk to somebody or reach out for help, the odds are is it will never actually get better. The same thing with addiction. The amount of times that I told myself, all right, today's the last day I'm going to do drugs. And then tomorrow would come. And I'd be like, no, but for real, today's the last day. And then the next day would come. And it's an endless cycle that if, once again, you don't actually reach out for help, you don't actually try to make it better, it literally never will. So, like I said, 12 years old, skip basketball tryouts, big deal. When I was 14, though, I played volleyball. I was a freshman in high school, played volleyball. I loved it. I was great at it. It was probably the first time I truly enjoyed a sport, had fun, just loved it. But the gym teachers wanted me to play football. I was tall, fast, I could catch everything. You know, so they went on this campaign trail to get me to play. And at 14, for me, it was like, I guess I do need to play football. Because they told me that I'd be more popular, I'd have more friends, there's more fans at the football game, you'd be cool, all that stuff that was super important to a 14-year-old kid. You know? And I was like, all right, that makes sense, you know? Instead of doing what I want to do, instead of doing what I love doing, I'll just go play football. I'm going to make them happy because I need to be popular. I need to have more friends. I need to impress the gym teachers. So like I said, instead of doing what I truly loved and wanted to do, I said, forget it, I'm going to go play football. Probably the best and worst decision of my life at the time, but it started a trail of me never putting myself first. So I switched over to football. Now, I'd never lifted a weight in my entire life. Didn't know how to work out, no idea what I was doing. But I'm in the weight room, I'm squatting, and I ended up hurting my back. I couldn't walk, I couldn't breathe, I was miserable, I don't know what I did. But, so when I got home, you know, my mom saw how much pain I was in, and my mom handed me a pill. Now, mind you, this is like 16 years ago. My mom is not the reason I became a drug addict. My mom is not my first drug dealer. But at 16 years, or 15 years old, she hands me a pill. You know, I just thought it was ibuprofen, I just thought it was Advil. But at 15, she handed me my first painkiller. And I tell you, the second I took this pill, like, it changed everything. I remember it to this day. My mom was driving me to my friend's house afterwards, and I was just looking out the window, and there was just nothing. There was no stress. There was no pressure. There was no anxiety. There was no pain. I'm just like, wow. Like, if I could feel like this every day of my life, life would be easy. Life would be perfect. Like, this is what I need. You know? But at 15, I don't have a drug dealer. I don't have a way to get more. The world was a lot different back then. There wasn't social media. There wasn't all these different avenues to go to find something. And I don't even know if I truly knew it was the pill that made me feel that way. But I just knew I wanted to feel that way again. So, throughout my high school career, you know, like I said, I had a great career. I got straight A's and all that stuff. But I was never happy, right? I was always miserable. I was always depressed. But the problem was, from the outside looking in, my life was perfect. From the outside looking in, I had nothing to complain about. I had 2 parents that never got divorced. We had a nice house. My dad had a good job. We went on vacations. Like, I never needed or wanted anything in my life that, like, couldn't have been obtained, right? But for me, I wasn't happy. But when I tried to talk about it, people would just tell me, oh, you're looking for attention. Oh, you're being a baby. Other people have it so much worse. Like, get over yourself. And when you hear those phrases so many times, you start to believe it. You start to be like, no, you're right. Maybe I am just looking for attention. You know what? Maybe I am just being a baby. Maybe I do need to get over it. And you start to bury it. You start to hide it. And that is literally the worst possible thing you could do. Like I said in the beginning, if you are struggling, you have to talk to somebody. You have to reach out to somebody. But I went the other route. So, my senior year of high school, I got offered the scholarship to the University of Buffalo. I did not want to play football. I hated the idea of playing Division I football. But it wasn't about me. I had to impress everybody else. I had to make everybody else happy. Because for the first time in my life, my dad and I have a relationship. He wasn't a bad dad. You know, he wasn't abusive or anything like that. He just wasn't emotionally available, ever. You know, he was old school, went to work, made sure I listened to my mom. Like, that was it. There was no father-son fishing trips or father-son talks about life. But for the first time, he's bragging about me. He's talking about me. So I was like, all right, I got to make him proud. I got to do this for him. I have to do this for my high school coaches. I have to do this for my teammates. I have to do this for all of Grand Island. Literally, I had to do it for every single other person except for myself. Because, right, like, who would turn a Division I scholarship down, right? You get free college. All you have to do is play football. But it wasn't the life that I wanted. But like I said, it wasn't about me. It was about everybody else. So I accept the scholarship, all that fun stuff. And a couple months later, I get my wisdom teeth out. Everybody know what wisdom teeth procedure is, right? We're all juniors. Everybody pretty much knows that stuff. But I get my wisdom teeth out. And with that procedure came a bottle of painkillers. And the second I took the first pill out of that bottle, I was literally 15 years old again. I was staring out the car window, waving at nothing, happiest I'd ever been in my entire life. And it was almost like immediately my brain was like, this is the answer, like, this is what that was. And the problem is, there's a lot of warning labels on pill bottles. You know, they'll tell you about drowsiness and to take with food, take as prescribed, all that fun stuff. What they don't warn you about is addiction. They don't warn you that you could literally destroy your life, destroy your family, destroy all your friendships, relationships, that you're going to lose every dollar that you ever earned or made. You are going to destroy everything when it comes to addiction. Like I said, there's a lot of warning labels on pill bottles, but they skip those ones, okay? But the same thing, at 18 years old, that pill bottle, you know, whatever, took the script, and when it was done, I didn't have a way to get more. I didn't know how to, didn't have a drug dealer. I was a very sheltered 18-year-old kid. But there was an answer in my brain. There was a solution. There's a solution to the depression, the anxiety. All those things could be answered with a simple thing, just a pill. So I go to UB, and I struggled. Mentally, I was miserable. Like, there was days where I would just think, I'm just going to crash my car into a ditch on the way to practice, which probably sounds funny or sounds ridiculous, but that's how mentally messed up I was. I would have just rather break my arm, break my leg in a car accident, and have an excuse to not play football anymore. That's where I was mentally. So around my sophomore, junior year, I ended up breaking my wrist in a game. And with that wrist injury came wrist surgery, and with that wrist surgery came more painkillers. And once again, the second I took the first pill from that bottle, I was 18 years old again, I was 15 years old again, and I was like, yes, like this is what I need. Once again, there was no stress, there was no pressure, there was no anxiety. I was like, this is what I need in my life. Like if I can feel like this every day, I can get through it. I can get through UB, I can get through the depression, I can get through the anxiety. And the biggest difference this time around was there's about 25 to 30 kids in the football locker room that are having surgery. So this time when my painkillers ran out, I had plenty of options. This guy would give me some, this guy would give me some of his, I'd buy some off of this guy. So, now all of a sudden, I don't need a drug dealer. Essentially, my teammates were my drug dealer. And I started to take them 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever. By the time my senior year came around, I was probably taking them like 3-4 days a week, always for reasons other than pain. It was always to escape reality, escape my brain, escape the depression and the anxiety. So right before my senior year, I made one last effort to get help. I went and talked to my head coach, said, hey, look, I'm struggling. I need to, do something. And he literally just looked at me and said, like, you're fine. You need to toughen up. You need to stop being a baby. We have Ohio State in 3 weeks. Basically, like, get it together. So at that point, I was like, all right, I tried to get help. I did what I needed to do. I'm just going to go all in with painkillers. They never let me down. I'm going to start taking them. By the end of the senior year, I was taking them every day. Like I said, I got picked up by the Cincinnati Bengals at the end, but I didn't care about football anymore. I didn't want to play football, or I didn't want to go to the NFL anyways, which once again, I know, crazy, wow. But I hated football. I only tried to go to the NFL for everybody else once again. It wasn't for me. It was for my dad. It was for my friends. It was for my teammates. It was to be cool. All that fun stuff. But even when I got to Cincinnati, I did not care. All I cared about was pills. All I wanted to do was go home and take drugs. So I essentially sabotaged my NFL career. Faked an injury, said I didn't feel good, said I wasn't, just not feeling it. I get cut, get sent home. I was excited though. I was like, perfect. I get to go home and do drugs. So now I am back home. I'm spending 5, 6, 7 days a week on the east side of Buffalo. I'm running around with this drug dealer and that. Like people never in my life that I thought I would associate with were my best friends. When you're an addict and you're hanging out with other addicts, there's no such thing as best friends, just so you know. Everybody's out for themselves. But I'm on the east side of Buffalo. I'm down there with one of my buddies, and I end up getting robbed at gunpoint. I had a gun to my head, had a gun to my chest. My best friend got the life beat out of him. They stole all our money, stole everything. And that's the first time I even saw a gun. I never even seen a gun in my entire life. First time I saw one was pointed at my head. But the thing is when you're an addict, you do not care. I did not care. I was literally annoyed. I was like, seriously? Like, this is what's going to happen? And the first thing I asked my buddy, not was, are you okay? Like, are you good? He literally had broken ribs. His face was all bloody. And I just said, like, where can we go now? Where can we who can we call that's not going to rob us? Like, that was my first thought process. A couple of months later, once again, on the east side of Buffalo. When I tell you, like, I was perfect growing up, I don't do it to be funny. I don't do it to make you guys laugh or make you guys annoyed or to brag. But I was so worried about letting a single soul down that I did everything perfect. Like, I never got detention once. I never got grounded once. I had to get straight A's, like everything. It wasn't for me, it was for everybody else. And here I am on the east side of Buffalo, get pulled over, get my car searched. So now this perfect kid who's never got detention in his entire life is sitting here in handcuffs, getting arrested. And, getting charged with criminal possession of a controlled substance could be a felony. But I'm not sitting there worried about my future. I'm not sitting there thinking like, oh, wow, like you really messed up, Alex. Like, you really did it this time. All I cared about was drugs. I would literally just look at the clock and be like, well, if they let me go by this time, I can still call this guy. If they let me go by this time, maybe this guy's still awake. Those are the thoughts you go through when you're an addict. You literally don't care about anything else other than drugs. And there's a phrase that we talk about when it comes to addiction, okay? It's called focusing on your first day, not your worst day. So everybody likes to focus on rock bottom. Everybody likes to focus on somebody's worst day. For me, was it having a gun to my head, getting arrested? For some people, it's overdosing. Some people, it's losing your family. Everybody has a different definition of rock bottom. But the point is you have to focus on the first day. of why were drugs the answer in the first place. Why at 15, 18, 21, why did the pill change my life? Why did it solve so many problems? Because I didn't wake up at 21 years old and decide, you know what, I'm going to be a drug addict. Sounds like a fun time. Sounds like a good life. Like, nobody does that. My mom was an alcoholic for 36 years. She didn't wake up at 22 and decide, you know what, I'm going to be a drunk. I'm going to be alcoholic the rest of my life. Nobody does that. But there's deeper rooted issues and things going on that allow drugs to be the answer, that allow alcohol to be the answer. So I asked you guys in the beginning, have you experimented with alcohol, drugs, weed, whatever you want to call it? And just why? Like, why? What was so appealing? Is it to have fun? Is it because other people are doing it? Because the problem is, we know people are going to experiment. But when it becomes a solution to something, when it becomes an answer to a problem, there's a lot deeper rooted issues going on. If you can't go to a party and have fun without being drunk or high, there's bigger issues going on. I'm not saying you're going to be an alcoholic or a drug addict just because of that, but I'm just saying it's something to look into. So if you are struggling with anything, or you know a friend that is struggling, don't suffer in silence. Don't let them suffer. Get them help, or get yourself help, but reach out. Because my rock bottom didn't come for a couple months. I did a couple more months of struggling, got to the point where I was selling TVs, selling my Xboxes, just to get drug money for one day. Got to the point where I was returning bottles and cans. I didn't pay rent, I bought drugs instead. Like, literally, completely destroying my entire life. And it got to the point where I went from about 215 pounds when I left for the NFL to about 165. Because literally, drugs came before food. Like, I did not care. It didn't matter. And I got to the point where I owed so many people money, I had no friends left, I was completely by myself, that I thought suicide was the best answer. I thought suicide was the way out. Because after every single thing that I'd accomplished in my life, after all the touchdowns, all the straight A's, everything, the biggest possible letdown would be going and talking to my parents and be like, hey, remember your son that did this, this, and this? Yeah, he's a drug addict now. I couldn't do it. It would be the ultimate disappointment. And for someone who had to be perfect and please everybody, wasn't going to happen. So I was like, you know what? Suicide, write a note, explain everything, talk about it, do all that stuff. Luckily for me, my best friend came home around that same exact time, and he saw how truly messed up I was, and he went and talked to my parents. I didn't know he was going to do it, but he did. I got a phone call from my parents a couple days later, and on my 25th birthday, had a nice little intervention. I went to rehab. I was lucky because I wanted to get better. I wanted to go to rehab, and I wanted to get help. It's not that easy for everybody else, but it was still tough. It was still hard. But when I say rehab was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, it truly was. Because when I was your guys' age, if somebody went to rehab, like, to me it was like the equivalent of jail. Like, that person's a loser, they're a scumbag, their life is over. Like, those were the thoughts, because society kind of painted that picture. But when you actually go there, or actually experience it, there are people there from every walk of life. So when I tell you that addiction does not discriminate, it really does not discriminate. It does not care that you guys live in Orchard Park. It does not care that I lived in Grand Island. It does not care if you're from the inner city. It doesn't matter. It can affect everybody. And it is a lot to deal with. It destroys families. It destroys people. It is very tough. And like I said, the biggest thing I learned there was I had to put myself first. I had to finally be the number one person in my life. And that's what rehab taught me. I didn't learn that in school. I didn't learn that, in life. I learned it there. But my whole life was dedicated to everybody else, and it truly destroyed me from the inside out. Because at the end of the day, you guys know yourselves better than anybody. Like, nobody can truly tell you what's going to make you happy at the end of the day other than yourself. And I'm not saying, like, be disrespectful or, like, oh, I don't like school, so I'm not going to go to school anymore. Like, that's not the point of the conversation, right? But it is. It's to put yourselves first, to do what makes you happy at the end of the day. Don't just do stuff to fit in. Don't just do stuff because it makes other people happy. Like, really focus on what you want to get out of everything. And I know today's world is a lot tougher. With social media the way it is, I hate social media. It's literally the worst. But it is. Life seems like one big popularity contest nowadays, right? Everybody's got to post the best pictures and who's on the best vacations and all that fun stuff. That stuff does not matter at the end of the day. And I promise you, I don't remember a single embarrassing argument, breakup from high school. So stuff that might seem like the end of the world now is not the end of the world. Like, it's going to change. It's going to get better. I'm like 31 now. I have a kid. Just hang out, live life, try to have fun. But seriously, if you guys are struggling, talk to somebody, reach out to somebody. Do not suffer in silence. That was my biggest downfall. If you know a friend that's struggling, get them help, talk to somebody for them, do what you have to do. But, you know, at the end of the day, put yourselves first. I know we're wrapping up on time here, but for real, be the number one person in your guys' lives. I appreciate your time and your attention. If you do have any questions, I'll be hanging out for a little bit, but thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, the honest story of Alex, and just hopefully you understand the personalization piece that we're trying to help you understand here. So important for him to note that really no one is sort of exempt from this possibly happening to them or somebody that they love. And again, this is a pretty heavy topic. If there is anyone who needs help or needs support or has questions about themselves or somebody else, please know to come to your house office. If we can support you, we would like to do that. I think that's it for this morning, and you guys can wait for the bell to ring. Unless there's any questions, I don't know if anybody wants to ask a question now, or we have a minute before the bell rings. No? Okay, well thank you. Just wait for the bell to ring, and then have a great Tuesday.